In New York City, there were 9 more homicides in January and February than there were in the same time period last year. So Police Chief Bill Bratton decided to blame that fact on weed. Is there any logical connection there? Absolutely not. But he just pulled it out of his ass. I blame weed for these people dying. Because I say so. Is that enough? Can we just say that's true now? Think Progress reports, quote, there were 54 homicides in the first 2 months of 2015 compared to 45 the year before. According to Bratton, marijuana, which he calls a seemingly innocent drug, is one of the root causes of the shootings. He said the following, quote, in this city, people are killing each other over marijuana more so than anything we had to deal with in the 80s and 90s with heroin and cocaine. In some instances, it's a causal factor, but it's an influence in almost everything that we do here. Now, somebody else in the article brought up a great counterpoint, and they said, what are you talking about? Causation does not equal correlation. To say, hey, we found weed at a given crime scene, and we're going to blame it on that, I mean, that's as irrational as finding a cell phone at the crime scene and saying, I blame this on the cell phone. It doesn't make sense, but we're so used to it with marijuana because it's been demonized for so long that a lot of people hear that and they think it's rational. They continue, Robert Boyce, the city's chief of detectives, also argued that ripoffs of marijuana dealers and pot-related robberies are largely responsible for the homicide rate. Now, again, they don't present any evidence for that, but let's assume for a second it's true, and let's take it for what it is. Well, what would the solution to that be? To end drug prohibition. I love how they make these points and they think it backs up prohibition. They think it backs up their argument. Okay, the drugs are already illegal. You're already cracking down on them. It's already on the black market. And if it's leading to deaths, that's the reason why it's leading to deaths. And the way to fix that would be to legalize, tax, and regulate. Because guess what happens? Then it's no longer criminals who are selling the product. Then it's CVS or Walgreens or a liquor store or any store. When you legalize, tax, and regulate, you no longer have crime associated with the product. How do we know this? Alcohol prohibition. The mafia became incredibly powerful during the days of alcohol prohibition. Why? Because they had a monopoly on the product. So they sold all the alcohol, they made all the money, they got immensely powerful, and there was a drastic increase in crime associated with alcohol. And by the way, there were oftentimes bad batches of alcohol because it was made in bathtubs and cut with gross chemicals, and sometimes people would die just from drinking their normal amount because it was a bad batch. Well, the same thing happens with weed, and the same thing happens with heroin, the same thing happens with all these drugs. When it's made on the black market, it's not regulated, and people can die from a bad batch. The fact that in the year 2015, when all this information's available, all this information's out there, you just have to care enough to learn about it. The fact that these guys don't talk about it, definitely don't know about it, don't think about it, they're not curious about it, they just think in this childlike way, blame the weed, weed's bad, it's terrible. I blame the weed, let's blame the weed. Let's blame the weed. What? But, so do you want to fix the problem or not fix the problem? There's my question for you. Do you want to not have, X amount of people dying per month or per year because of what you think is related to weed? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then we know what the solution is. The solution is to do the thing that's counterintuitive that you don't want to do because you don't understand the argument. So I've had enough with these substance hawks, let's call them, where, let's face it, they're flat out anti-freedom. That's what it is. I mean, I love how politicians always are out there throwing around the term liberty and freedom, never defining it, never actually understanding what goes hand in hand with these things. Well, I have news for everybody who thinks they believe in liberty and freedom. You don't believe in it unless you want to, at the very least, decriminalize drugs, but more realistically, legalize drugs. Because if we can live in a society where you could drink a Monster Energy or a Red Bull or have a drink with caffeine or you can have alcohol or you can go to the doctor and get a prescription and have Xanax or Percocet, you could do all that stuff. But no, the things, come on, man, it's off the table. Weed and cocaine, shut the fuck up. You can't do those ones because those are evil. Those are worse for you. Except we just did a story the other day. A study found that heroin is actually safer than alcohol. When you drink your normal amount of alcohol, you're closer to death than if you do a standard amount of heroin. Again, these are things people don't know because they don't care about the science, because we're just prejudiced by the society that we live in, and we just think that things are the way they are because they make sense this way. They don't make sense this way. And the answer to a situation like this, where people are allegedly dying because of weed, is not crack down more on weed. No, that's not going to solve the problem. The answer is you legalize, tax, and regulate, and then watch all the crime, all the underground activities, poof, go away. And you can thank me later when you realize that this is true.